this narrative that I'm about to discuss with you has already given me about a 4 to 5x so far, and this narrative is very likely going to go for another 5x within a very short amount of time, and I'm talking within the next 3 months. So if you want an easy 5x that is relatively risk-free and also something that many people are talking about, which means that you're going to be following the narrative instead of buying into a coin that's doing absolutely nothing, stick around and find out. So the first thing I want to show you is that throughout this entire bull market, the top performing narrative by far, like not even close, has been meme coins. You can see that just meme coins, real world assets, and liquid staking derivatives alone pretty much account for, more gains than the rest of crypto combined, which means that chances are if you have some kind of money inside meme coins or real world assets, you are probably already up about 10x to perhaps 20x so far this bull run. And this, by the way, is just how bull runs work. In every bull run, you have a handful of narratives that account for the majority of gains. And it's your job to figure out which narratives are the ones that are hot. Because one other thing about a crypto bull run is that if a narrative is performing well, it means people are talking about it. And this causes more and more people to buy into it. But there is always some kind of rhyme and reason behind why certain narratives perform better. And one thing that's going to help you immensely is to not fade these narratives that are doing well. First of all, they have a reason why they end up becoming a leader in the first place. But secondly, these leaders tend to stay leaders for much longer than you think. People slept on meme coins throughout the last 4 months because they saw that meme coins like WIF and Pepe pretty much went up 20x from within a 3-month period from January to March. And yet, so far, after this dip, WIF continues to be one of the strongest tokens out of this dip, while you have other coins like, for example, LDO, which has really strong fundamentals, still doing absolutely nothing. Just because something has pumped doesn't mean that it won't continue to pump. One of the things you need to understand is that the money flow inside a bull market is completely irrational. It makes zero sense why Dogecoin has like $20 to $30 billion worth of market cap, which is enough money to feed world hunger for a year. It makes no sense, and we shouldn't try to question it. And if the goal is to make money, then there is no better way to do it than to follow the money, right? Where is the money flowing to? And so far this bull run, where's the money flowing into? The money is flowing into meme coins and real world assets. Although in this video, I'm going to just be talking about meme coins, and more specifically, I will be talking about a up and coming narrative or sector within the meme coin space that I believe going to do a insane run. So that sector is going to be what is called cat meme coins. Throughout the first phase of this bull run, you've seen WIF literally went from $0.1 all the way up to close to $5. And this was at its peak around $5 billion in market cap. Now, this time around, I do believe that things are going to go way more than 5 billion. I am predicting WIF to at least go to 10 billion in like one quick swoop, and potentially even 20 billion, which wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility because last bull run, Shiba actually went to $40 billion worth of market cap, and WIF at the moment is looking like it's going at a similar trajectory compared to Shiba. Although this video is not talking about WIF. I'm just showing you that in a 3-month period from like February, not even 3 months, right? From late February to like early April, right? So 1.5 months, maybe even less than 1.5 months, WIF pretty much went from like 250 million market cap to 5 billion. And during the last run as well, you've seen PP go up to 10x within a span of a few days, or actually a couple of weeks. And then another one that took it from, about 5x from, the bottom of the dip. The point I'm trying to make here is that there is up and coming narrative right now, and that's cats. So if you take a look at just any coin in the market, you will have realized that cats, right? Specifically right now, the leaders are Popcat, Michi, Mog. They have been leading this dip so far. I don't know if you remember this, but this was during the dip. Late June, we started coming out of it, around late June. And so far, since that period, just to give you a little comparison, Popcat has been up about 3x. Now, mind you, I publicly called on Twitter that I was buying at this area here, publicly called this in my Discord as well. If you guys just want the latest updates on stuff like this, because it does take some time to make a video, then make sure you follow me on Twitter at _theartofcrypto or join the alpha group if you want to take the exact trades that I'm taking as well. It's already up about 3x from that point, but this only puts Popcat at around $850 million worth of market cap. But I believe that this leg, starting from like 250 million, is going to bring Popcat up about 10x. And so that's going to put Popcat at around $2.5, which is only $2.5 billion worth of market cap, which is half of that of WIF. And Popcat as well as Mog are, the biggest cat tokens. For example, Popcat, 860 mil, and you have Mog, right, which is at about 650 mil. Now, if I were to pick between both of these, I'm going to say I'm more in the camp of Popcat. Like, my bag of Popcat is way bigger compared to Mog. So I believe that Popcat is going to become the WIF of the cat space, the leader. And so this is what I'm going in heavy on. But the potential for this is, again, about $2.5 billion with market cap. But if we are being slightly more delusional, slightly more greedy, like, it could also be possible that Popcat does a $5 run from this point onwards. Now, is that fully likely likely to happen? I don't know yet, but I'd say $2.50 Popcat is 100% in the bag. So this brings me on to another point, which is, well, where do you enter? The breakup of this high and the retest here would have been a great opportunity that I mentioned in the Discord, but I haven't made a video about it at the time. So you guys would have already missed this. Finding out where to enter is as simple as drawing a fib and like looking for price to come into some kind of a discount. For example, this fair value gap here would be absolutely amazing for you to enter if price were to retrace into this area, which is 60 cents. But otherwise, you can't really go wrong with just buying Popcat at current price at the moment, because even if we just go down to the 4-hourly chart, because if we take a look at the daily chart, for example, we can see that liquidity has just been swept and price is currently pumping. And take a look at the 4-hourly chart, this would be a type of broken base setup. So if we were to break market structure towards the upside here and come down for a retest at around 88 cents, then this would also be a good buy. So essentially, this liquidity sweep here, market structure break, boom, boom, right? That would be another entry that puts Popcat above $1 billion worth of market cap. Although one thing in the short term that you do need to keep in mind is that at the moment, Popcat is looking like it's setting up for some kind of a heads and shoulders pattern. This is, well, if you've been in crypto or trading for any amount of time, this is not, the best type of pattern that you want to be buying into. So ideally, I would still look at, around the 60 cent, 50 cent area, because this is where a lot of the volume tends to be concentrated at in terms of the grand scheme of things. This also fits in with the discount zone of, this macro range here. This would be the discount. So ideally, this would be, way better. As long as we don't get a heads and shoulders formation, like feel free to just continue to momentum trade. This is what I've been doing as well. For example, even though my initial purchase was all the way down here, every dip is an opportunity for me to add to my bags. For example, I even added to my bags here during the retest. Now you might be saying like, hey, isn't that risky? Why am I ruining my entry price? Well, if Popcat's going to go to $2.50, I stand to make way more money increasing my, average buy price. And based on my thesis about the cat tokens, this being the leader of the cat tokens so far, I believe that this has the potential to pull a whiff type move, i.e. a 10x or even a 20x. Based on my initial entry price around this area, I'm already well on my way to that goal. But for you, it's still an easy 3 to 5x, depending on where you get in. If you get in around 60 cents, prove the easy 4 to 5. So that's going to be Popcat. Like, this is arguably the most talked about token within the cat space. One thing that I just want to caution you or like advise you is that when it comes to picking which coin you want to invest into, I'm going to give you 4. I'm going to discuss 4. Pick something that's, relatively higher in market cap, and then pick something that's relatively lower in market cap. And that's honestly all you need. If you want, now previously I already made a full video explaining like what is the best way to allocate your portfolio inside a bull run. If you have some difficulty figuring out exactly what's the best strategy to allocate your portfolio, then I'm going to link that video in the description box below. Check it out after you finish this video. I promise it will not be a waste of your time. So just to briefly discuss the second largest token within the cat space, you're going to have MOG. Let's take a look at MOG price action. Now, I will be honest here, I do not have much MOG, and it is not a significant chunk of my portfolio, especially when you compare it with Popcat. Now, MOG actually, at its peak, also achieved $1 billion worth of market cap at around this area here. So far, it's down about 35%. If you do believe that, MOG is the better meme compared to Popcat, then at the moment, there are 2 levels where you can look to buy in. One is at around, 122, and the other one is around 16, which, you've already hit. Although, do I think it's going to come lower? I do believe that it will, because, well, first of all, taking a look at market structure from a very simple perspective, you had a breakdown, retest, boom. And at the moment, there are 2 key liquidity levels. And usually when you're dealing with things from a macro perspective, like if you have multiple liquidity points like very close to each other, usually the most extreme one tends to be the highest probability one. Will it come all the way back here? I cannot tell you for sure. Like if the crypto market just starts pumping right now, which is also a coin flip at the moment, because I'd say we have a good week or two until, everything starts running wild again. This is what happened. Something similar happened during the Bitcoin ETF as well, where the price of Bitcoin actually fell for like 2 weeks after the ETF got approved before it just went parabolic. And currently we're getting a similar case happening on Ethereum where, price is dropping right after the ETF. And then eventually, you're going to, just go straight up. Now, taking a look at Bitcoin, I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. Let's go on to the daily chart. So this was the ETF, gets approved, boom, dumps, but then immediately, like that's a parabolic move. This move, by the way, from like 37K to like, its all-time high, basically a 2x, brought the total market cap of crypto up by about $1 trillion. So this was ETF, boom, right? It went from 1.5 trillion to 2.7 trillion, right? So that's $1 trillion. And most of the strong tokens, meaning the tokens that are matching the narrative and the tokens that are leaders, essentially went up by a factor of 10 to 20x. Assuming that something similar is going to happen with the Ethereum ETF, it just makes sense that the crypto markets is just going to go up by another factor of 10 to 20x. Now, even if Total 2 does not gain much, right? Even if it just goes to its previous all-time high, that's 600 or $700 billion worth of money that's going to be flowing into altcoins. I guarantee you the majority of that is going to be going into the leaders, i.e. real world assets, i.e. Ethereum, i.e. the layer ones like Solana, and some of that is definitely going to go into meme coins. And even if you have just a few $1 billion that goes into meme coins, like these cat tokens are going to be sitting at multi-billion dollar valuations. And so it just makes sense. Going back to the immediate short term, like I wouldn't be surprised if, MOG continues falling, because previously I talked about Popcat, how there is some kind of an inverse heads and shoulders formation forming on Popcat. And, if that starts breaking down, then the cat tokens could absolutely take a pause. And if it does, then this level right here is going to be the level that you want to pay attention to, which is around 1.2. Like I cannot tell you like 0.0000012, but this would be the area where I'll be looking at. And if you look at the daily chart as well, this does line up with the true monthly open. Actually, this is the true monthly open. And if you take a look at previously, like this indicator is like magic, by the way. Price opens the year trading underneath the yearly open, true yearly open, breaks above the yearly open, boom, find support, bam, right? From here, you do a 5x, 4x actually. And so like trading simple, you just got to be patient and wait for the right levels to get hit before doing anything, and you're going to be good. All in all, MOG, that's the level I'm looking at. Alternatively, like something I would look for just to start momentum trading again is clear market structure that shows that this liquidity sweep here is not going to happen. And so like you're just going to, go straight up from here. This is scenario one that I would like to see. And this is not even the best scenario. The best scenario, which is very unlikely at this point, just because of how like market structure is looking like, is immediately breaking this high, retest, and boom, right? That would be the most ideal scenario for MOG, as well as Popcat, by the way. Like just instead of forming this heads and shoulders pattern, you just break right through that, retest, boom, right? That would be also a very high probability entry. And that's just going to take everything to the moon. If that happens, then that's the trigger that you want to look for to momentum trade. But otherwise, like at least for now, like just anticipating a potential heads and shoulders, even looking at MOG, just anticipating that market structure at the moment doesn't look the best, then this could be a likely scenario. And it just so happens that this puts MOG at about a 50% retracement from the all-time high. And that is one of the entry criteria that I do teach inside the Bull Run Technical Trader Masterclass inside my alpha group. If that's something you want to check out, then the option is in the first link in the description box below. But otherwise, moving from Popcat and MOG, essentially, these are your two big boys. These are your alpha plays. And if that doesn't make sense, thought you already made a video on what an alpha beta play means and how to allocate your portfolio, or at least an optimal portfolio allocation strategy. But otherwise, those are your two big boys. Now it's time to get into some of the smaller ones, right? These are the beta plays, stuff that has much smaller market cap, but much more higher upside compared to the big boys, because, well, they're smaller. They could potentially gain way more in terms of market cap. Now, I don't exactly have the best chart of Michi. Like you can use Maxi, which, gets the job done. So let's just use that for now. Michi, just like Popcat, has followed a very similar trajectory in terms of having a manipulation down here, right? Sweeping all the liquidity over here and then pumping. And similar to Popcat, there was one move down and then up again, forming a new all-time high. And right now, just like Popcat, a little bit down, right? Although you are down much more compared to Popcat at the moment. Like Popcat is still the strongest token in the cat base. So if I had to put my money somewhere, it's going to be Popcat. But like in terms of Michi, this is way smaller in market cap. It's only $150 million. This is more of a niche token where there are not as many people talking about it, but the people that are talking about it tends to be like, fairly smart, fairly reputable in the space. And this all comes from my alpha list, by the way, which basically get access to, like copy and paste if you join the alpha group, so that you know exactly who to follow and where the good information on Twitter is at. But Michi, in this case, is coming from them. Like it's a good token, don't get me wrong. If you're looking for a beta play in the cat space, I would definitely pick this. And so looking at potential entries for your cat tokens, then let's mark out this liquidity right here on I should actually do this on the daily chart. So you have two like key levels. I do not expect Michi to come all the way back into the original, manipulation zone. So the first level, and pretty much the only level actually, is going to be at 17 cents. This is going to be the ideal entry for Michi, where you could set a limit here, and targets for Michi could easily be $1 billion. But like seeing how it's at $165 million worth market cap here, a dump of 40% from this current point would put it pretty much at 100 million, which gives you the opportunity to 10x play. And even from current prices, that is still a cool 6x. So looking at current price, that will be the ideal level. And the second one would be, if we were to pull a fib, you can see that price is already inside a fair value gap on the daily chart, plus the fact that you are at the 0.618 of the fib. So you can even say that if the markets were to go up from here, then Michi is already in a good place where you can buy. Market structure, comparatively speaking to Popcat and Mog, like Popcat, there's no problems with Popcat, right? That heads and shoulders that I told you about is very much just a hypothetical scenario where, you know, it could happen. In terms of this one, not really, right? Like, sure, you could say, yeah, this could happen and boom, boom, something like that could absolutely happen, but just purely based off market structure, the fact that you've already tapped into a fair value gap, and so if the markets were to go higher, then right here, right now, is actually a good price to buy into Michi. And if we were to draw a fib extension just to find out what are potential areas where you can take profit at, it's going to be right here, right here, right here, right? This is all en route to $1 billion worth of market cap. And $1 billion, by the way, would put Michi at about $1.5, right? That'll be the ultimate goal, to take profit here. But if you want to take partial profits on the way up, then feel free to take a screenshot. This is like 50 cents, 64 cents, 91 cents, $1.20, and $1.48. These are potential levels for you to do it. So Michi, all in all, this would be the ideal level, but otherwise you're already tapping into some kind of fair value gap, and you know, it's actually good to go. Plus the fact that you are currently trading above the range high. Ideally, you really want to see Michi like break above this area, retest, and then go up from there. That would be ideal. Like ideally, you shouldn't break above this range and then just come all the way back down. That would not be ideal. But hey, you know, depending on how things go, you have two potential entries for a 6x and even a 10x play on a beta meme coin, Popcat and Mog. Following the most greedy estimates, it's going to give you a 5x, maybe a 10x, right? Very unlikely to be a 10x, like just within the next 3 month span. By the end of the bull run, absolutely, like could definitely happen where Popcat's sitting at like $10 billion worth of market cap, Mog is sitting at like 6 or 7, makes absolute sense. But within the next, you know, 3 month period, my target for Popcat especially is going to be, you know, 5 bill. So that puts it 5x from this current price. In terms of Mog, you know, you could very well sit at 3.5 to 5 bill as well, which also is a 5x, right? So by most conservative estimates, it's going to give you a 5x. Following that same account, like the conservative estimate for Michi is going to be $1 billion, and that's going to give you a 6, and billion is, you know, really playing it small. From this price, it's going to give you, you know, an easy 6, and from this point, it's going to be a 10. And then lastly, we're going to talk about a very much smaller token in the cat space, and that's going to be Toshi. This is on the base chain. This is a base chain token. If you look at the market cap for Toshi, it's half of that of Michi. So this is very much the smallest token, but also potentially the highest upside. Now, this is not as talked about, you know, as compared to all the other tokens that I've given you. But in terms of buying at a very steep discount, this is arguably the best chart, because if you look at the daily chart, if this thing will load, you're pretty much already back inside the volume control zone. If we take a look at the majority of the volume that's being traded, it's around this area, right? This is where most of the market participants accumulated their positions on Toshi, and coming down here, you have had a very strong reaction where you pumped by, you know, about 40% out of this area. Now, 40% in the grand scheme of things is not much, but still, in terms of the technicals and buying into something that has, you know, that's at a really fair price, something where you're still early and not too late, something that hasn't pumped yet, Toshi is arguably the best one. Market cap estimates for this one is, for me, it's a 10x. So that's going to put it right at around $800 million worth of market cap, and potentially even $1 billion, right? I do think Toshi hits $1 billion sometime during this bull market. Absolutely. So even from current price, that's more than a 10x. And essentially, there are two levels where you want to look at buying, one of which is going to be right here at like 0.00008. Very low. I know it's like a 60% dump from current prices. This would be the most ideal area where you can buy from, like if it happens, right? Not counting on it to happen, which is why I have two higher levels for you to buy. So first of which is going to be right here at about 164,770, basically 165, and then right here at about 112, or like just 12. These will be the best areas to get Toshi. And in terms of conservative estimates, if you want to take like a TP1, you can do so at a cool, you know, 2.5x from current price, and about a cool, you know, 4x, 3x to 4x from these prices here. Otherwise, you're taking profit at the previous all-time high. And if we were to draw a fib extension, assuming that this is the range that we have to work with, you're going to be looking at, again, ultimately it's going to hit $1 billion. It is a belief of mine, but before it does, these are potential TPs that you can look into when you're dealing with Toshi. These are like 4 plays in the cat space that I believe is going to really perform well throughout this second phase of the bull run. Like, sure, the dogs are still going to perform well as usual, but we have not yet seen a move from the cats. A couple months ago, I was talking about Popcat, and there was very much a bet on like maybe the dog era is going to take a little pause and it's going to give some time for the cats to perform. And so far, so good. I've been right. I've been up about 3 to 4x so far, but there is still way more room in this narrative. And so don't sleep on it. Hopefully this video gives you an idea of what coins that you want to focus on to take advantage of this this narrative that is going to give you a easy 5 to 10x. But otherwise, if you want to follow along with everything in real time, plus get access to my exact trading system that I use inside a bull run to just make life-changing money, plus my exact alpha list, how I look for information, as well as people to just spoon feed you some information so that you don't miss a beat in these markets, click the first link in the description box below and reply alpha to the first email, and we're going to set you up. But otherwise, thanks for watching this video, and subscribe if you want to see more videos to help you make money just like this.